Hello everyone, welcome to Cybersecurity Clarity. My name is Andre and welcome to one of our first ever webinars. So I want to take this moment because I released a video on TikTok that got a lot of views. I got some DMs about it. It was essentially talking about the state of the cybersecurity industry when it comes to entry-level applicants. So maybe you're someone who's in the process of taking a cybersecurity class. Maybe you're someone who already did the boot camp and now you're looking for work, but it's been a little difficult, right? And there may be some people who are finding work very quickly and other people who may not. So this video is just to give you an idea of some of the perceptions around the cybersecurity industry as of today. So to start off, I just want to mention that there was a huge cybersecurity interest boom during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, everyone was working from home. Some people had some difficulties, as in they weren't able to work from home, and so that caused some unfortunate structure fall in their life, and so they said, hey, I really want to get something where I can work from home. I remember that was a huge motivation for people wanting to have more control over their lives. The other reason why they were interested in cybersecurity is due to the salaries. People have heard that you can make six figures in your first entry-level job, or you can get up to like 80,000 on your entry-level job, and there's a huge range, right? And I will say that is true. One of the first cybersecurity jobs I had was a little over six figures, but you have to understand that I also come from a tech background where I was a project manager for several years and already was familiar with tech lingo and essentially like data and compliance and whatnot. Now, for those of you who are coming in with a completely different degree or a completely different industry, well then you might be thinking, okay, well, is this for me? Am I wasting my time? I had a student recently that came from a great construction background from the military, and he sat with me after we did a networking class, and he said, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm wasting my time, right? And just like I told him, I'm telling you all, if you're ever going to take one of my classes, know that subnetting is not something that you have to do if you go into a specific line of work in cybersecurity. For example, for me, I do GRC and I do cybersecurity awareness. Those are my passions. So I don't need to know how to subnet. I don't need to know how to take binary and put it into an IP format, right? So that's not something that I need to do. But if you work in networking, you will need that. That being said, it is not a waste of time because the cybersecurity world is flush with opportunities. You're going to see, I know that Forbes recently just released an article that said nearly 4 million cybersecurity jobs are vacant. And this was posted in August of 2024. At the day of recording, we're in October of 2024. And so just a couple months ago, they were saying there are a lot of jobs out there. You've heard the term being said that there are nearly 4 million cybersecurity jobs that are missing and whatnot. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that because that may be true, but in terms of getting hired, there are some things to consider and there are some things to know, okay? You will see on LinkedIn once you go on that a lot of people are saying it's really difficult to get into cybersecurity or they're gatekeeping. You might hear people say that how is it an entry-level role if it's requiring so much experience? Well, let's break that down a little bit. One of the first thing to understand is that since the pandemic, since about like 2017, 2018, and during that time frame when it was really picking up to do cybersecurity, there's been a huge surge, a huge influx of entry-level applicants. So all these cybersecurity companies and cybersecurity hiring managers are being flooded by all these applications. Now, all these applications, they all look different. Maybe they went through a boot camp where they helped them with their resume, and maybe there are some people who just did it on their own. It varies, right? So the quality of your resume is definitely going to make a difference. Now, here at Cybersecurity Clarity, we do have a template. It is a resume template that is based off the Google as well as the Harvard one. Now, we did merge it. We went to a job site. The job site is called, you can check them out as well, it's jobleads.com. I did pay for the premium. I went through a masterclass on their interview process where they taught us how to fix the resume. So there is a new updated one there that you can check out. Now, to the topic of like the influx of all of the entry-level participants. Because there are so many people coming in, well then the hiring managers are having a hard time finding someone. Now keep in mind, as of today, it is somewhat still of a recession. So a lot of companies are still trying to save money. Back in the day, they would have hired people and trained them up. But I think that a lot of hiring managers, they aren't really interested in hiring someone unless they already have hands-on experience. That's the key thing I want you to remember, hands-on experience. Because as of today, a lot of the emphasis that a lot of the cybersecurity education programs are putting it on knowledge and education, such as certifications. And that is not a bad thing. Certifications are a direct representation of what you know, right? Hiring managers at this point in time, though, they're looking for something else. They're looking for actual real world cybersecurity experience or some familiarity with different tools. I've been speaking to some people and they said, yeah, certifications are great. Yeah, having an undergrad degree is awesome in cybersecurity, but that doesn't really matter to me. I've literally talked to someone where they said, yeah, that doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you have 5 certifications. I want to know if you're familiar with Splunk, if you've worked in Metasploit, if you can define what Nmap is and tell me exactly how to break it down, or if you've used Burp Suite, or how much Linux you know. It's apparent that they really care about what you can do and less about what you know, because if they know what you can do, they can teach you a bit more so that you can grow in what you know, right? So that's why you're hearing the term that cybersecurity is being very gate-kept right now. You're hearing a lot of people say, oh, they're only looking for people with 1 to 3 years of experience, even if it's an entry-level role, right? That people can argue whether that's true or not, but one thing is true, is that you have control over it right now if you're in your cybersecurity education. What that means is you can essentially do things and take some steps in order to show that you have some practical experience on top of having your certifications. Now don't get me wrong, it's completely possible to get a job just based on certifications if you take some other steps. But if you want to go the extra mile, maybe if you don't have a tech background at all, there are some different things that you can do. So let's break it down. If you want to have practical experience, one of the things you can do is you can get an internship at a cybersecurity company. I know that they're still looking for those. I saw a couple myself. You can work on personal projects. What personal project means is having a home lab, tinkering with it, tinkering with your own firewall. You can do capture the flag competitions. You can do try hack me. When you do try hack me, it'll give you a lot of different scenarios and situations where you can, if you complete the path or you complete the class, you'll get a certification, right? A certification that you can put on your LinkedIn just to display that. When I was in my cybersecurity education, there was this great guy, super smart. His name was Brian, and he was top 1% of Try Hack Me. And it was motivational for me because every time I would see him post, oh, I finished the last OWASP, the latest OWASP top 10, and this room was really hard or whatever, I remember thinking, darn, okay, I should go back into Try Hack Me and do a couple rooms just to stay current, right? So that is an option that you can do in a personal project and personal lab thing. We can talk about that later. Now, the certifications, I did say those are important. The minimum I think that you should have if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, the minimum is at least Net Plus, at least. You don't need it if you already have Sec Plus or if you're going for Sec Plus. I know there are different people that are going to argue with that, but in my opinion, just having your Sec Plus is sufficient, right? Because when you have your Sec Plus, it does cover some of the things that you do in Net Plus. If you want to get into network admin or whatnot, well then Net Plus is a good one to get, especially if you want to get into IT. It gives you that fundamental understanding. Now you can also do certain things like participate in hackathons, coding competitions. You can go to events. That is a huge one. I have a mentee and she was just learning about cybersecurity, but she went to DEF CON all by herself, not knowing anyone, and she lives in Michigan. So DEF CON was in Vegas, and she went all the way to DEF CON to really understand cybersecurity and meet people, which I think is phenomenal. If you have the opportunity and the funds to go to an event, highly, highly encourage it, because it is true that what they say, your net worth is your network, right? So I would highly encourage you all to give that a try, or try to get like that experience. Then there's a topic of being familiar with different tools, right? So when it comes to tools in cybersecurity, they can be pretty broad. So a couple ones that I think are important to just know are Wireshark, Nmap, Metasploit, Burp Suite, Kali Linux, Nessus, Snort, and Splunk. So those 8 I think are really important for you to at least know what they are, what they do, what the UI looks like, and how exactly you can work with them. If you really want to go the extra mile, you can change your operating system on your personal computer to be a Linux so that you have to work on it on the daily and become really accustomed to it. Now, during some of the courses that I've taught, some people have tried to learn networking and cybersecurity through using a Cisco packet tracer. So that can be considered a personal lab where you take Cisco packet tracer and you set up an environment at home and you play around with access management, setting up the switch, router, and whatnot. So those are things that you can definitely do if you're interested in becoming more familiar with networking, right? But I would say that you definitely want to know those 8 that I mentioned, okay? So when it comes to practical experience, I know that some companies are saying 1 to 3 years, right? But if you take some of these steps, like do internships, personal labs, if you are able to show in your resume and your cover letter, because a cover letter, it may be read, it may not, but in it you can expand a bit more on your highest achievements. So a cover letter typically has like you, a little blurb about you, and then I would put the highlights, so like 5 bullet points of all the reasons why you are a good fit for the role, including the experience that you have to really draw an eye to that, both to the recruiter and the hiring manager. I know that it may seem like, oh, they're only looking for people with 1 to 3 years of experience, right? So if that is the case and you're really finding it hard to get into a specific cybersecurity role, it's completely okay and understandable to pivot into technology and cybersecurity through an IT role. What do I mean by an IT role? An IT role can be considered help desk, maybe IT support, maybe sysadmin, or even desktop support. Any of those are good options just to get your foot in the door. This is specifically important for people who are wanting to get into technology, who have not been in tech at all in the past, right? Because if you go into help desk, maybe you're there for a year and a half, then you can make connections in the technology world and make networking, right? And then from there, you're able to pivot into a cybersecurity analyst role. Maybe you can be a SOC analyst, junior penetration tester, if you really want to go that route. There are different ways that you can go about it, okay? So, in conclusion, it may seem daunting, it may seem like frustrating to not be able to get a cybersecurity job if that's you. I know some people are really struggling with that right now. If that's you, well then these are the different steps that you can take. You can go ahead and check some of my other videos to better understand what they are. If you're still here, please feel free to follow me on Instagram, where there's a link to my course called Cybersecurity Clarity. It's a completely free course. There are a couple of paid options. I ask that you share this video, comment down below, and help me build this community of entry-level cybersecurity professionals so that we can all grow together. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll check you all later.